Thank you for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of, we're just going to do a little interview, just kind of background on your growing up, your playing, and kind of what took you to where you are now. So I appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So where did it start with you? Where did you get your first touches on the ball?
Okay, so I actually started when I was 4 years old playing AYSO in the city of La Habra, and I played there for about 4 or 5 years. I started playing there. So since the age of 4 all the way up until maybe 8 years old, I was playing AYSO. So I was playing. My dad was my coach when I was younger. Him and my uncle were my coaches, as well as my cousins. We were all on the same team. And as I got older, a little bit older, towards 8 years old, I began playing in the Mexican leagues in Anaheim. So a bunch of my friends from La Habra, we had a team there called Pumas, and we went to Anaheim for a league over there. So we were doing pretty well there, and our team was doing well because we stuck together throughout the whole year. So we knew our chemistry, so that was like something helpful for us growing up. And as well, I joined my first club when I was 8 years old. At the time, the club was called Celtic under Coach Hector Alcantar, and that eventually moved into, I think they went to Stampede and then Legends, and now I don't even know what they are now. There's a bunch of teams now, but
Yeah.
at the time it was Celtic, and I played there for I think a year or two. I was playing a year up at the time, so it was a little bit difficult to get playing time. So, and as well, my dad would get off of work, and it was kind of difficult for him to take me to training in Pomona at the time. So we heard of this club called Fullerton Rangers in Fullerton, of course. So I joined Fullerton Rangers at the age of 10, and so all my friends from Pumas, we kind of like went to Fullerton Rangers to try out, and all of us ended up making the team. It was pretty much a fresh new team, and at the time it was Coach Hector Vasquez, and so we started at the age of 10 there. So we started at the bronze level. At the time we played in the Coast Soccer League, so it was bronze, silver, and gold, premier. So we were at the very bottom.
It's pretty much like the flight 1, flight 3, flight 2, flight 1 nowadays. I remember that. It was gold, bronze, silver.
Yeah, so we started at the very bottom of bronze. So we had like Diadora jerseys. Like we didn't have Nike, Adidas, like all the other clubs. So we were Diadora. We just kept moving our way up. And I was still playing a year up at the time with all my friends. And at the age of 12, that's when our guys started like going to different teams. And then, so I stayed at that same level. So I was playing a year up, U12. So then when it hit U12 again, I stayed. So that's when I joined Coach Jimmy Obleda, his R96, 97 team for Fullerton Rangers. And that team was probably one of the most successful team that I've been on so far, and I've been with them I was with them since 12 years old, all the way up until college, so 18 years old. So Coach Jimmy was my coach at Fullerton Rangers. I had many other coaches, but Jimmy was like the one I stuck with the whole time. And from there, we had to work our way up as well, silver, gold, and we got up to premier, which I think is flight 1 nowadays. So we started off by winning State Cup, National Cup. We ended up going to Dallas Cup. Our first year was, I think, U13, and we ended up losing in the quarterfinal. So that kind of hurt us. So we went back the following year, ended up winning in the final against FC Dallas Academy at the time. There was Academy, and we beat them in penalties in the FC Dallas Stadium. So every final is played in the stadium. And then we went the following year after that as returning champs, and we also won that one as well against Frankfurt from Germany. We beat them 2-1. So a little story on that one. So we were like playing group stage, and we saw these scores, and Frankfurt was winning like 16-0, 14-0. We're like, what the heck? Who are these guys? You know, like, what's up with these guys? So we ended up going to the final against them. So we were a little like like not scared, like a little nervous. You know, we were gonna play
But just
against,
kind of like,
and
what
these
are
guys
they
were.
going to bring out?
Yeah, exactly. Knowing that they won 16-0 the first game. So we
Yeah.
ended up beating them 2-1. So it was like a great accomplishment, back-to-back Dallas Cup champs. And that same year, we ended up going, this was in 2011 and 2012. We ended up winning regional champs. So we went from state cup, which is national cup. We won regional champs.
Yep.
And then after that, we went to nationals, like the best of the whole U.S. We ended up winning those 2 years, U14 and U15. So the first year we won it in Phoenix, Arizona, and the second year we won it in South Carolina. I don't remember the city, but it was in South Carolina. And
No, that's huge. I mean, like you said, to kind of go from that bronze to just build your way up, you know, and winning those tournaments and winning the big ones and just kind of almost getting bigger and bigger and bigger and still winning them. That's huge.
yeah, exactly. So it started pretty much from literally just moving your way up every year, getting better, every year getting better. And I mean, at the time, no one really knew like Fullerton Rangers, and like, I mean, we've barely found out about them too that year we joined. And I think over the years, every team,
that kind of put their name on the map for sure.
yeah, and every team from then on just kept building and building off of that. So I joke around with some kids sometimes because the Fulton Rangers has 2 stars right above their logo, and sometimes I ask them like, "Oh, you know what those stars mean?" Like just messing with them, and they're like, "No, what is it?" I was like, "Oh, well," and I just explained to them like, "Oh, those are the national champs that Fulton has won, and I was part of that team." So it was kind of cool. We got recognized by the city at the time. I think Univision came to our training one time, and it was just cool, like to see all that as a young developing player, and just see that we're getting recognized was pretty cool. So moving on a little
On
bit
a quick side note, how do you
yeah.
think like your young playing days, like in rec, just kicking the ball around, and like those Saturday leagues of kind of just more unorganized playing, how do you think that helped you kind of grow and to play where you are?
It helped me a lot because I think the most important thing for not the most, but one of the most important things for development is always being around like the ball, just having the ball. I mean, a lot of coaches say it, you know, make sure you're kicking the ball around at home, whether it's against the wall or you're juggling or you're always trying to get better. Obviously, you play soccer with the soccer ball, so you actually want to get your technique down, all that stuff, learning how to juggle. I remember growing up when I started playing club, our warm up every day was just juggle. If you did 5 juggles today, try to do 6 tomorrow. And I remember my dad was very supportive and would make me do drills in the back, just whether it was juggling or do these tricks or something. Just growing up, I was always around the ball, so that helped a lot growing up. And whether it was AYSO, Mexican League Club, because at one point, I think at the age of 8, right before I left to club, or right before I left to Rangers, I was playing AYSO with Pumas and Celtic all at the same time. So I would go from game to game and like to game. So it was pretty cool.
But that's just
Always,
because you love the game and you love what you were doing, you know? You
yeah,
just wanted
exactly.
any opportunity to play.
Yeah, anytime I saw a soccer ball or something around, I was always kicking it. And like around the house, my parents would always get mad. At my grandma's house, she has a lot of plants and trees in the back, and me and my cousins would always play soccer in the back. And as much as they hated us hitting their plants, they liked seeing us playing together and with the soccer ball. So any chance I had, um, I had a soccer ball with me at all times.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Cool. So yeah, like you said, just kind of moving forward and going through, you kind of finished up your club years. How is it moving into high school? What high school do you attend and how does that go?
Okay, so I ended up going to La Habra High School, the local high school. I live probably like my parents live 5 minutes from there. So I started off my freshman year on the JV team, and slowly worked my way into varsity my sophomore year. So my first year I was JV, second, third, and fourth year I ended up being on varsity. My second year when I moved up to uh, varsity, I wasn't getting, I wasn't starting during the preseason. I wasn't getting much playing time. But then the first league game came, the Freeway League right there in La Habra, and I was named captain of the team and I was starting, and it was just like a surprise because I think they wanted to see how I would react coming from, because at the time, my freshman year, that's when we had won our first national championship, and our second year. So our coach
They kind
for,
of saw what you did on the club side and saying, hey, how are you going to handle it here?
yeah, exactly. So like it kind of like was frustrating me, but at the end of the day, I was grateful for it because it made me work even harder. Not just It wasn't just given to me. So at the time, our coaches were Steve Andrun and Brian Claben, who's now with 343. So he was our coach at La Habra. So we ended up going to CIF semifinals my freshman year, and they moved me up to varsity, but I didn't get any playing time. I think we played right there at Troy High School. So then moving into my senior year of high school, I was looking into going to colleges. So some colleges I were interested were in Manhattan, New York, UC Riverside, and Cal State Fullerton. Actually, Cal State Fullerton was not an option at the time. So I was actually talking to Manhattan, New York. So I was already doing Skype calls with them, learning what I needed to do with my schoolwork. And at the time,
almost ready to make the commitment.
Yes, exactly. So I had to do my SAT scores. And I never knew this, everything was new to me and my dad as well. Like we didn't know what SATs were. So I had to ask around at high school. It was just a learning experience for both of us, which was pretty cool because we both didn't really know what to expect, what was going to happen. So I signed up for the SAT because they needed the scores like as soon as possible. And so I didn't have time to study. So it's kind of pretty much what I knew. And I'm pretty good at math. So I did really well in math, but my English score was pretty low and I needed it to get like pretty average. So just with that, I couldn't get accepted into that school. So that was gone. That option was gone, Manhattan. And at the time I was a senior, I had no other options. I got a call from UC Riverside and they took 3 of our players to an official visit. And they ended up just giving the better option scholarship wise to one of them, Ricky Ruiz, who ended up playing there. So the other two, me and my other teammate, we couldn't really afford to go to UC with the scholarship they were giving us. Yeah. So that kind of option was gone. So I was stuck with no options, nothing. And during this time, it was May, so we were playing National Cup right there at the Rancho Fields in San Juan Capistrano. And I was doing my second try for my SATs, and we were in the semifinal. And this was at the time when we were just like unstoppable. We had like a 2-year winning streak, and it was just we were just like unstoppable. So like for me to miss a game was kind of like okay because like we were super stacked at the time. So I ended up
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we ended up playing the semifinal. I didn't end up going. I had my SAT score or test that day, and my dad still went to the club game to go watch it. And Coach George Coons, the Cal State Fullerton coach, was there recruiting. And at the time, he was barely going to enter his first year. He was just coming from UC Irvine. So he was going to be his year. So he sits down next to my dad, and my dad sees, like the Fullerton logo. And, when they're scouts, like you just kind of see them around and sitting on the corners. And so my dad starts talking to him, and Coach Coons asked him like, "Oh, who's your son? Like, which one is he? I'm here to watch Fullerton Rangers." And my dad goes like, "Oh, well, he's not here. He's actually taking his SAT scores. He's going to apply to Cal State Fullerton, the local school." And he's like, "Oh, no way. Why?" Coach Coons goes, "Why is he not here? Like, why is he playing? This is a semifinal for National Cup." And my dad goes like, "Oh, it's all right. Like, these guys are going to make it to the final. Don't worry." Like, it was funny at the time. And so the next morning we made it to the final. So it was a Sunday. We make it to the game. Coach Coons and Coach Carlos Aguilar were there at the game. I started. I had a great game, and after that game, we won the final, and they came up to me and told me, "Hey, we want you to come to Fullerton." So, like, yeah, all kind of worked out. It was just perfect. I was already admitting to Fullerton not to play soccer, just to go to school. So,
Hmm.
I was already I didn't have any options, and it kind of was perfect timing, and they helped me out a lot. So I didn't do any of the national letter of intent signing. I think I signed mine like late May, which is like super late compared to
Yeah.
everyone else. And I
But
ended
I
up
mean, that whole process comes with you just not really giving up. You know, if
playing.
once that Manhattan deal went down, you could have been like, oh, well, you know, this didn't work. You know, I'll just go to apply to some random school or whatever. But you
Yeah.
kept diligent. You're just like, okay, well, I'm going to keep applying and keep going to this. And like you said, something will work out, you pretty much, you know,
No,
but
yeah,
that
and
doesn't go anywhere if you don't work.
exactly. And the biggest thing, a lot of people ask me like, "Oh, what is something that you've done that has gotten you where you are today?" And I've told them, "Oh, a lot of sacrifice. You know, since I was a little kid, sacrificing to go play with my friends, and instead of playing soccer in the back with my brother or by myself, and up to now, sacrificing hanging out with my friends, you know, on the weekends because I have games and." Sacrificing time with my family. I'm actually in Texas right now, and my family lives in California, or obviously in Orange County over there. So just sacrificing time. It's just a lot of stuff. Sacrificing the things you eat. You know, I'm sure everyone would like a slice of pizza every day, but I mean, not everyone could eat pizza every day. You gotta make sure you eat healthy and the stuff. It's just a lot of stuff. You can just keep going on and on and like you said, just not giving up and making sure you have your head straight
Yeah.
and know what you want to do.
When I think as you get older, you need to kind of get more disciplined or even just come up with like a routine.
Yeah,
You know, whether it's because, you know, when you're younger, you can go after your game and just go home and chill and sleep or whatever. But, you know, at your age, it's go home after a game. You immediately need to start your recovery, whether it's an ice bath or whether it's just simple foam rolling and getting a good meal. But it's not, okay, you know, game's over, job's over. You know, you still kind of got to get to your next phase to help you prep for your next game or your next practice. So,
yeah. Like you said, the routine is like what is most important. When you wake up, you know you brush your teeth every day. You got to do this right after you just feel more comfortable and confident with your day, rather than you're just waking up. Oh, what am I gonna do today? Oh, maybe I should do this. And it's better just to know what you have planned and write down on a calendar or something and just make sure you get those stuff done, because I think that's what helped me out throughout college is I would always carry a calendar with me and write down, oh, homework assignment due, okay, I have a meeting, okay, training, all right, class, I have to go coach or stuff like that. So it kept me focused and in a straight line, knowing where I wanted to go.
yeah, exactly. I was going to ask you if you could kind of speak on that moving forward into college and how your transition was from high school and playing club to kind of moving into college in that setting.
It was difficult at first. Like I said, the most important thing to me that I say from college was time management. So pretty much a day went by, I would wake up 7 in the morning, go to class, and then after class, rush to training, train, take a shower, change. Then you got class again, and then you got to eat something, you know, because you haven't ate all day, and then you got another class. You go home, you do your homework, by the time that you eat, you know, you hang out with your friends, by the time you're done with that, like that's your day, and you do it
Yeah.
every day, every day, every day. The first month was super tough, you know, coming from high school to college.
Just kind of being on your own schedule and almost doing kind of whatever you want when you wanted. But yeah, I remember
Exactly.
that. I think I had class from 7 a.m. till like 1, and then it was training from 1:30 till 3. And then we went recovery room after, or, you know, physical therapy. And then we went to the calf as a team. And by the time that was over, it was like 5:36. So it's like,
Yeah,
okay, well, now I have to go spend the rest of the night doing homework, you know, but you could also make the decision, hey, you know, I worked hard today. I deserve to go hang out with my friends for a few hours. And then you just blow off homework. But later on the line, you know, you might become ineligible because you blew off your homework. So
exactly.
it's just, you just stay diligent, do your homework. It'll all pay off, you know? So it's really
Yeah.
cool.
So So when I was younger, we had a lot of kids in our neighborhood, and we would get home from school, and the first thing my parents told me was always do your homework first and never wait at the end of the night to do it. So most of my friends would get home from school, eat, then go play. And I was the kid that would get home from school, eat, do my homework, then I have the rest of the day to play. Because if you wait till at night, you're gonna rush your homework. You're gonna get into bad habits. And starting from now, at everyone's age here that I see on the screen, like you gotta get used to it, because if you don't have good grades, at the end of the day, you can't go to school and you can't play soccer. So
Yeah,
that's one
yeah,
thing.
definitely. Two things. I mean, the first thing is you're a student athlete first. So, I mean, they're
Exactly.
really going to recruit you. I mean, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you can't make the grade standards, you're not going to get in.
And
You
I'm
know?
sure you have a lot of friends that had that issue, that had the soccer wise but didn't have the school wise. And I had
Yeah.
a bunch of friends that it was that issue. So I remember
And they
one
thought
time,
their talent could just take them there, you know?
yeah. So I was lucky enough that my dad made sure that my school was, he was always on top of my grades, always on top of my schoolwork, and making sure that I did everything. And even in the summers, he would make me write like essays and just a bunch of stuff that just got me prepared, that I'm very grateful for. And it's just, I remember one time in club when with Rangers, UC Davis was actually watching us, and they came after the game and talked to us. And the first thing they asked us is, "What is your GPA?" Like they didn't ask what grade you were in, how old are you, what position do you play. They just said, "What's your GPA?" If you have the grades, we could take you into consideration. If you
Yeah,
don't,
it's pretty much like if you have the grades, you're in this pile. If you don't, okay, we'll talk
exactly.
to you later when you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge point. I mean, my mom was the same way. She runs an in-home daycare at her house. So we have a bunch of kids there, and it was kind of like that's your reward for doing your homework is you go out to go play. You know, we
Exactly.
come home, like you said, we get a little bit to eat and we do our homework. And then now once you're done, whatever time's left for the day, then you can go out and play. But yeah, that's awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah. So
So if yeah, real quick, if you
go
could
ahead.
talk
Go ahead.
about kind of moving forward through your college career, how was that playing wise for you?
So my first year, I was super excited playing there. At the same time, I knew there was 11 seniors, so I knew it was going to be difficult to get starting and playing time since the first year. So that's another thing I had to work hard, improve myself from the very beginning. And the first day of training, I think we had the Cooper test, which is 2 miles under 12 minutes, and I ended up getting second, I think, that fitness test. And from there, they're already impressed. That's kind of like the grades they were talking about. Okay, you did the fitness test, you passed it. Okay, you're in this pile. Now, if you didn't pass it, you're in this pile. So like I just put my foot into the door and just made myself, stand out from the other players. And I was super skinny, like really small. So like everyone else was stronger than me, and they always told me like, "Oh, you're not gonna be able to play. You're too weak," and stuff like that. And that kind of just was in the back of my head, and like, all right, I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna prove you wrong. And coming into the first game of season, I ended up starting. There's 9 seniors that are starting, so there's two other guys that are. One was a junior that wasn't starting, and then I was only freshman starting at the time. And I remember the first 5 minutes of the game, it was just fast, boom, 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 boom. And I think they took me out in the 20th minute because I just couldn't handle it. It was just way
Like
too
deer in the
fast.
headlights, just like,
Yeah.
wow, this is
And
different.
yeah, it was super different. And I was playing as a holding midfielder. And I was guarding probably one of their best players, the 10. So he was just
that
running through
that's
like
how my
nothing.
first college experience was. I played for when I was getting recruited to Concordia. I played like some summer league preseason game. I played right back. Maybe I started the game. They pretty much started all the younger kids, things like that, and went in. First 10 minutes, had a corner kick, and I had to guard like this 6'3" guy. And I'm like, dude, there's no way I can even get near him. I mean,
Yeah.
I get up and I challenge him, and he wins the header, but he misses, and he throws an elbow like right to my face. And he looks at me and he's like, "Hey, welcome to college, rookie."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, it's gonna be like this already."
No, yeah, it was definitely like a super like big transition soccer wise,
Yeah,
more physical, faster. I mean, I was 17, 18 at the time, and I was playing against guys who were 21, 22, you know. So it was a very like quick transition I had to get into it, because college season is only 2-3 months, so it goes by super quick. And moving into my sophomore year, I got transitioned into a left midfielder. So we played a 4 diamond in the middle. We had 4 true center mids, and I ended up playing on the left. And it was a little bit difficult get transitioning, positions, whatever. But I think in the long run, very grateful for the different positions I played. Just I'll talk about it a little bit after the next topic. So moving into my junior year, I started off left mid, and our left back tore his ACL. So I had to, they just dropped me down to play left back, and I hated it. To be honest, I didn't like it. At the time, I was like, what am I doing? And I just was just complaining when I shouldn't have been. And the coaches told me, look, if you want to play at the next level, coaches are going to look at a player that could play different positions, not just one position. And that's when it clicked in my head. I think Coach Kyle Schmidt told me that, and he was like, yeah, that clicked right in my head. And I was like, okay, like I need to start listening more. And I stuck to that position, left back, and I played there 2 years in college, the last 2 years, and ended up achieving a lot of stuff at Cal State Fullerton. My freshman year, the team hadn't seen the NCAA tournament in 14 years, and Coach Coons came in with his staff and our players, and we ended up making the tournament. We actually ended up beating Irvine, which he had just came from, in the final, a PK shootout, and I ended up shooting a PK. So in the back of my head, I was like, okay, 11 seniors. This is like, I can't ruin it for them. They haven't been to the tournament, and I ended up scoring it. Well, we ended up winning, go to the tournament, ended up losing in the first round, and
but you got your foot in the door. You get to experience the tournament. You get to show everybody, hey, we're here. Exactly. Be ready for us next year.
Exactly. It kind of was like a little story of like Fullerton Rangers. No one had really heard about them. Now they're winning all this. Cal State Fullerton hadn't been to the tournament in like 14 years, and boom, they're in there again. So It was kind of cool to like be part of the program at the time. And they always say once Italian, always Italian. So
it's like nowadays you can almost pencil them into the tournament.
No, for real. And I ended up winning 3 Big Wests at Cal State Fullerton. We won my freshman, sophomore. We lost my junior year in the final, so we could have had a 3-peat there. And I actually broke my foot my senior year. The year I didn't play, we won it, and it was very tough. Those 7 months I was not playing. I sat out for 7 months. I broke my foot, but at the same time, like you said, like I said earlier, like the sacrifices you had to make in order to come back and just get back on the field. I could have easily said like, oh, I'm done playing, or I don't want to play anymore, or I had to even take care more of myself, of what I was eating, what I was doing, because I was just sitting in bed and couldn't move, and it was just.
It's really a mental battle. I mean, I tore my ACL and meniscus, and you're just sitting on the sideline for months, it's hard, you really get into your head about, hey, should I stop? Because, maybe I won't get back into it. Maybe I won't feel the same. Maybe it'll feel different or whatever, you just run through the excuses, and you can almost convince yourself to stop, but it's just finding, like you said, that perseverance and that sacrifice to just keep going.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Awesome.
Just making sure you have your goals straight and you know what you want to achieve, and just keep going for more. So I ended up coming back my senior year, redshirt senior year, and I ended up playing. We did well. We ended up losing in the semifinal. So this was December of 2018, and I was looking. All right, so I was done. College soccer was done for me. I didn't have any plans after. So this is where professional soccer starts coming into play. So I ended up going to, I knew a player from Reno, FC, and he was no longer in the team, but he was still close with the coaches. And I asked him, hey, is there a way you can get me in contact with the coaches at Reno? And he's like, yeah, go ahead. I'll give you his number, blah, blah, blah. And boom, I got the assistant coach's number. He ended up inviting me to an open tryout. So anybody can go, like just anybody can go. And to me, like this was, like I said, this was new to me. This was new to my parents, my family. So we didn't know what to expect. So I ended up driving up with my dad. He actually drove there. We drove 8 hours straight to Reno, got a hotel the next morning, woke up, went to tryouts, didn't know what to expect. You got guys that look like they're in shape and you got guys that are super out of shape. So it was super like new. I didn't know what to expect in open tryouts. And, you know, you got guys that don't even have soccer cleats on, and it's just different, you know.
Guys that look like they just came from a team.
Exactly. So me and my best friend from college, Diego Sanchez, he went with his family up there, and we drove. We didn't know what to expect. We show up. They tell us, all right, we're just going to put you in 2 teams. Boom, you guys are going to play. And I was like, okay. And I was nervous at the time. And the first ball I get, complete the pass, whatever. But then the guy who I had on my side was just not helping me at all. So it was very stressful. And I was just trying to prove myself, you know, I'm not going to just drive 8 hours and just not get nothing out of it.
Yeah, and just be complacent and just let it happen. Like, I'm going to try to put myself out there.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a lot of guys that just went just to go tell their friends, like, oh, I went to Reno Open tryouts. And, you know, those are the guys that don't end up making it. You want to be the person that says, hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to get something out of it. I'm going to get a phone call.
I'm going to try to stand out in some way, you know?
Exactly. Whether it was scoring a goal, giving or not losing the ball.
A hard challenge, a great through ball, you know, whatever it is, you know, just like you said, make your mark.
Yeah, exactly. Talking more than all the other players on the field.
Communication's huge.
Exactly. So I just did everything. I was going crazy. I ran out of breath. I left it all there. And at the end of the open tryouts, the coaches just come up to us and they tell us something, and boom, you end up just going home. So when they came up to me, they just said, you know, we're interested. We'll keep in contact with you. And they just kept talking about their left back. Oh, we already have a left back, and he's super fast. And they just kept talking about him. So in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, like these guys are not interested in me. I'm just gonna leave it with like that with them. If they hit me up, you know, they'll talk to me. That's how it is. So it was like 3 p.m. Tryouts are over. I end up grabbing some food with my dad, and then just get on the car, and boom, I start driving back. Like I just drove 8 hours straight back. So I was super tired. Just didn't shower, like nothing. We didn't have the room anymore. So I just get in the car, just straight driving back to Orange County, 8 hours. And I was super tired the whole way back. I was thinking, oh, what's going to happen? Are they going to call me? Did I do everything I could have just, you know, to get their attention? And I was pretty happy with how it went, you know, and now it was just their decision, you know. A lot of things are out of your control.
You pretty much did what you could. Like you said, you did what you could. Now it's up to them. If they want you, they'll call you.
Yeah, exactly. So a little like, I don't know how to say, a little phrase I always keep in the back of my head is, you know, control what you can control. You know, you can control how hard you run, how hard you work, and the stuff like that. You know, the coaches on the team are going to have the final decision, you know, whether you're playing or not. That's their that's their decision. Now you make it hard for them to choose who's going to play. So I think that is something that's kept me straightforward and just control what I can control. So
definitely,
coming back from Reno, I ended up finishing the semester at Fullerton, and I still needed some classes left. And I made a highlight video of my senior year, and a coach that was helping out at Fullerton at the time, his name's Abraham Jacinto, who's now with LAFC Academy. He was at Boca. He posted my highlight video on his Facebook account, and he was actually friends with the video analyst guy here at RGV, and they did their coaching license together. So that's how they know each other. So the video guy sees my highlight video on the Facebook feed and shows the head coach, Coach Jerson here, and says like, oh, like we're interested in him. Like, let's give him a call or let's get in contact with him. So I remember one day at home, I was just training, just staying ready. You never know what's gonna happen. So I was just staying ready, and I was juggling the ball, just passing it with my brother, and I get a call. And it's from Coach Jerson, and he says, hey, I'm Jerson, coach for RGV, second team of Houston Dynamo. We have preseason, and we want to invite you. And I was like, oh, okay, like this is cool. Like I didn't know what to expect. And he's like, our general manager will be giving you a call soon. And I was like, oh, okay. So I immediately tell my dad, like, oh my God, like I just got another opportunity. This is a big opportunity. I'm getting invited to preseason already. It's not open tryouts like the one I did at Reno. So this is already training with the team and still trying out as well. So then January comes, I get on a flight, go straight to Houston, Texas, and we did preseason with Houston Dynamo the first 2 weeks. So I was super nervous knowing that I was trying out, for another USL team, and knowing that another team kind of just threw me aside like that. And the first 2 weeks were just getting into rhythm with the team and just trying to
understanding how they do things.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, the coaches want someone that's going to do well with the team, not just an individual. So like that was like the challenging part, just getting to know the players and knowing their strength, their weaknesses, and stuff, like at the same time trying to stand out. So like it was a little bit tough, and I think I did pretty well the first 2 weeks, and we ended up coming down back to RGV, and that's when they had meetings. And I had two friends that were here as well that I've known from college, from like Santa Barbara and another school. And we had meetings, and I was like one of the last ones. So my friends were coming back and telling me, hey, they sent me home. I was like, oh no, like I was scared. And my meeting came, and they're like, hey, we actually want you to stay. We want to sign you, and we like the way you've been doing preseason, and we want to sign you. And backtracking a little bit, so when I came to preseason, I came in as a left back, but they would play me as center back because they didn't have numbers. So They would play me as left center back. And I was thinking to myself, oh, this is another opportunity for me to show them that I could play multiple positions. And that's one of the reasons that helped me get on the team as well, and just making sure that
almost a utility player, almost anywhere in the back, 6 or 7. But I mean, that's one of the main things I stress with my kids is, not just being a striker or a left mid. Can you be a soccer player and just understand the game and try to understand the roles of each position and how they're done, because like you said, one coach could want this and here and everything. So
there's a lot of parents that ask me questions like, oh, like my kid thinks he's a forward, like, and I tell them, you know what, everyone wants to be a forward, everyone wants to score goals, but at the end of the day, the player who gets like the most positions down is gonna be the most successful one, I think, because they will understand every position, every role, every movement. And I think that's what's helped me my whole career. So the positions I've played are holding mid, attacking mid, left back, and center back. So
yeah, exactly, pretty much everywhere but like striker
or goalie. Yeah,
and that's good because I mean, I kind of took it kind of the same way when I transitioned. I played striker my whole life up until I was like 14. So I made a club team, and they were like, hey, we have a bunch of strikers. We need to find you a different position. So I ended up moving to right back, and that's why I got recruited for college and things like that. But I ended up making the transition of, okay, I know how a striker works. How can I defend against that almost? And it's, kind of probably taking the same mentality with you of, okay, I used to play attacking mid. Now I'm defending these guys. what works against them? If you could talk to that transition a little bit.
No, yeah, that was one of the main things that helped me out a lot. As an attacking mid, I used to do these. I used to play these balls in behind the. I used to like to play through balls in between the center back and the outside back. Now, as an outside back, how can I squeeze in to make sure that ball doesn't get through me? And the biggest one was like the 1v1 defending. I mean, you never really have to defend 1v1 fast players, the Cristiano Ronaldo's in the middle. So like that transition was super tough, and I'm still working on it to this day, my 1v1 defending, and just reading players and just learning more and more about the game and movements, because at the end of the day, the game is improving. So whether you want to keep going with it, you're gonna jump on with the game, but if not, you're just gonna stay behind. So
definitely. Yeah. We're doing pretty well. If you could just kind of talk about how your experience has been with the Toros and how that's going.
So my first year was last year playing professional here soccer. So it was also my first year moving out of my house. So during college, I lived at my house as well. So I lived 20 minutes from Fullerton.
Yeah,
so
pretty close. Yeah, you were able to drive, commute.
Convenient for me just to drive. It saved a lot of money. So it was new, cooking on my own, doing, you got to grow up at some time, one of my cousins told me. So I was like, you're right. And just transitioning, it was fun and stressful a little bit at the time, because you're so used to everything at home. Now you're on your own, and it's you and your teammates, that got to help each other out. You guys are the only ones here. You don't have family over here. And I remember I still call my mom to this day to ask for like cooking tips and how to do this and how to do that. But I mean, it's all a learning process. So, I mean, it was super cool just getting to move out from my family and just kind of living on my own and just exploring how I do it and stuff like that. And soccer wise, my first year went great. Like I said, we had 3 left backs that signed. So I was one of them. So we had a returner and 2 new guys, and I was one of the new guys. So the first couple weeks after the signings, I was put as the 3rd left back, so the 3rd string left back. So they would throw me as center back, and then at the end they would give me my rotation into left back.
Okay.
So I was slowly moved my way up, and same thing. I never started in a preseason game here at RGV, and first game comes of the season against Seattle, Tacoma, and I have I have a lot of family out there actually, and we played over there. I didn't know if I was starting. The game day comes. We had the pre-game meeting. Boom, Coronado starting left back, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was like I still get goosebumps to this day. Like I've done so much, I've worked so hard, like to get here, and like I just can't just let it go. I just got to keep going for more. Just got to keep going.
Just take it and run with it, like you said. Yeah.
And I ended up just first half of the game, the first 45 minutes, I remember just running, running. The adrenaline is high, and boom, I hear a whistle. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was first half already. Like, where did the time go? Like, it just went by so quick. And I just remember sitting in the locker room. I was just breathing. I was like, okay, relax. Like, just, get your
Still got one more half.
Yeah, exactly. So it was pretty cool. And we ended up losing that game. We couldn't finish that game, but I ended up getting man of the match that game. So it was pretty cool to get man of the match for my first professional game.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a great experience. It's probably humbling too. You're like, all right, I made it. I did this, and I got recognized. That's really awesome. How can I keep going with it? What can I get to next?
And the thing was, we lost the cool part. We didn't win. I didn't score a goal. I didn't get an assist, and I still got man of the match. So that just shows how,
you can impact the games in other ways.
Exactly, and it doesn't have to be about scoring. Assisting, and it was just about, I think I won 5 battles. All battles I've won. It was like I got like 5 or 6 crosses, and it was just a bunch of stats that added up and ended up getting man of the match. And this season is super long, and it went from March all the way to October. So the transition was a little bit different as well. coming from college, just from a 2 to 3 months season. It went from 2 to 3 months to 8 to 9, possibly 10 months a season long.
Yeah.
So that was
Go
something.
from like a high pace, just go, 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 go to a little bit slower.
Exactly.
Kind of, so it's a bit of an adjustment, but yeah.
It is very different because, you know, in college you have almost unlimited subs, and right here you only have 3 subs. So like, you know, you kind of have to pace yourself, knowing at the same time that, you know, you got to give it all.
Exactly.
So moving forward, I ended up catching a couple assists. My first season, I ended up getting 3 assists and 1 goal. I got my goal actually against Orange County, at Orange County, and it was in front of my family. I had about 40 to 50 family members there, and ended up being a goal of the week for the week. So
that's probably one of the best things. You play at your home stadium in front of your friends and family, score a goal, and it's a banger at that.
Yeah. And at the time when I was with right before I left to Reno to go try out, I was actually just doing some off-season training with some of the Orange County players and their staff that were there. You know, some of the guys that stay home and they're off-season, so they're doing training. So I was another step for me to get into there, and they kind of didn't take me into consideration as well. So whenever I played against Orange County, Reno, I always had a chip on my shoulder and just kind of like, oh, remember me? You know, like I was that guy.
Remember what you're kind of missing out on?
No, like it was kind of like, oh, remember me? Like I came to your open tryouts, or I came to your trainings, and so like getting that goal there was like super cool, and just in front of my family, it was just a cool experience. My first professional goal, I always remember that. And I actually got an injury as well towards the end of the season, and it took about 5 weeks. I sprained my ankle. I was out for 5 weeks. So again, once you get injured, another guy steps in, and if he does well, they're gonna keep him there. So I had to make sure I came back just as sharper than what I was at before. So that was a cool little 5 weeks that I had to just work hard and make sure that I wasn't going down from there. And pretty much my ending of my first season last year, they gave me a call and they told me, hey, we want to re-sign you in the off season. They gave me a call, like, we want to re-sign you, and that was like another cool accomplishment. You know, they're like, oh, they could have just said, all right, boom.
Kind of like a trial run. Yeah, you know, he did well for us, things like that. Let's try a different piece, see if it works. But like you said, no, that's really cool getting that second call back and be like, all right, they really want me, or they need me, or, you know, I'm a part of it now.
Exactly. And
awesome.
I think that a lot of people don't know is we're actually second team of Houston Dynamo, just because we have a different name. So there's always movement from first team players to second team, and from second team to first team. So this offseason, one of my goals was to get called up for preseason with Houston. They had a new coaching staff. They had new players coming in and stuff like that. It didn't end up working out, but that was a goal that I set to make sure to get called up, and obviously didn't happen. But I mean, I'm not pouting about it, and that just makes me work even harder.
Yeah, I'll say you're not going to stop there. I mean, you're going to take it as, okay, I didn't make it this time, I'm going to make it next time.
Exactly.
You know?
So, I mean, with all this virus stuff going on, I don't know if there will be an Open Cup, but that was one of my goals this year, to get called up to Open Cup, whether it was training or sitting on the bench, getting playing time.
Yeah, I said just gaining that experience is huge.
And obviously, that was probably one of my goals this year, and getting called up.
Yeah, we'll see, like you said, how the season kind of unfolds and where it goes from there. But and I hope I hope at least, you know, like you said, it took one game, you know, one game for them to kind of notice you. And I hope it's the same thing, you know, you get that one chance with the Dynamo and they're like, all right, you can do it. Just keep them, you know. Sweet. I think we kind of hit on most of it. I'm going to kind of let it up to the kids a little bit. Some of them had to take off. They have some of their normal classes for Zoom. But yeah, we'll answer a few questions and then we'll just finish up with a piece of advice. So if you guys have anything you want to ask them.
Any question? Favorite color? Anything? Favorite
Yeah,
team?
Landon, go ahead. Chime in. What's up?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Think you're on mute.
Yeah, unmute yourself first.
What was like your funniest moment when you played soccer?
Sorry, say that again.
Funniest moment playing.
Funniest
Or best.
moment?
Yeah.
Funniest moment. I actually got hit in the face. I think back to back on the same play. So I got hit in the face. I get down and I get back up, and the ball comes again and hits me in the face again. So that was probably a funny moment at the time for everyone else, not for me, but for everyone else.
Yeah,
Hope you
yeah, Luis.
Who was your favorite left back ever, and do you wear the number 3 jersey?
Oh, okay. My favorite left back of all time, his name is Roberto Carlos, Brazilian. He played at Real Madrid, and I am number 3. So that is my number. I got number 3 last year, and I got it this year as well. And that's my favorite number because I was born on the 3rd of August, so I like that number.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and then you got another question or anything? Unmute yourself first. Okay. So last thing for me, if you could just give the kids one piece of advice, just kind of going forward and kind of moving forward.
I think the biggest thing right now for everyone at that age is just to make sure that you're always on the ball. You know, whether it's you're juggling, you're warming up, the exercises that Coach Steven is giving you guys, and also watching soccer. So make sure you're watching a lot of soccer games. Your favorite teams. I see, is Landon, is that how you pronounce it?
Mm-hmm.
Landon, I see you wearing a Barcelona jersey. That's my favorite team. You know, make sure you're watching Barcelona play. Luis, who's your favorite team, Luis?
He's got Madrid on.
Real Madrid. Oh, okay. Real Madrid. I make sure you're watching Real Madrid, and make sure you're watching. Let me see, Luis.
Roberto Carlos. He's got it there for you.
Carlos, baby. That's the one. That's the one, Luis. So make sure you're watching players that play your position as well. So that's something I do to this day. So you kind of mimic what they are doing, and just make sure you're always touching a soccer ball, working on your juggling. I think juggling is the most important thing for anybody, whether you're 4 years old or you're 30 years old. I think juggling will help your touch. You'll get feel of the ball in every part of your foot and all of that stuff.
You got one more question, Landon?
Landon?
Yeah, what's up? Go ahead, unmute yourself.
How many juggles have you gotten? That's your high score.
My juggles?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't counted. That's a good question. But, that's a good question. I could probably go a couple hundred.
Maybe try it later. Post a video.
I'll try it.
And we'll see it.
I'll try it. Okay. I'll post it on my Instagram and my Twitter. I'll try it out.
All right, and then I'll reshare it for everybody.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. Guys, any other thing from you guys out there? Any other thing, you guys? Good.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. I was gonna say, if you guys want to chime in, say thank you real quick. But yeah, Robert, again, thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you, Steven.
No problem.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Cool.
Thank you, Alex.
Bye.